Hi everyone, welcome to Biology Pro. This topic is about female reproductive system. Here we are talking about gametogenesis. That's what happens in female is called oogenesis. Oogenesis is initiated in the embryonic stages inside the primary sex organs of the female called ovaries. Okay, so let us study how exactly the process takes place. Before that, we'll study the structure of the ovary, and then we'll see the process, how exactly the process of oogenesis is initiated and it completes to finally form the mature ovum. Right, this is a female reproductive system, reproductive tract. So we are not going in detail about the female reproductive system. So these are called fallopian tube, this is called ovary, right? This is called uterus. Fine. So we are talking about now ovary. So this is ovary. Ovary is surrounded by the outermost layer. This outermost layer is called, or it is lined by germinal epithelium. This is germinal epithelium. Just below the germinal epithelium, this is tunica albuginea. This is tunica albuginea, right? So just below the tunica albuginea, this entire part of the ovary is called stroma of the ovary. This stroma of the ovary is differentiated into outer cortex, and this outer cortex is the layer where you can see there are developing follicles. All these are developing follicles are present in the outer cortex, and this is the inner layer called medulla. Okay, so this is what the stroma of the ovary is differentiated into outer cortex and inner medulla. In the cortex are present the developing follicles. Fine. Next, the process of gametogenesis starts in the embryonic stage. From germinal epithelium, the primordial germ cells are formed, and these primordial germ cells form several oogonia. Fine. So these oogonia divide by mitosis and are diploid. So such several oogonia are formed by mitosis. So the number of oogonia that are formed in the embryonic stages, the number is very high and the number is constant. Later on there is no increase in the number of oogonia takes place. And all these oogonia in the initial stages, they are all enclosed inside, right? Enclosed inside by cells which are flattened squamous cells, right? So there are flattened cells, and inside these flattened cells all these oogonia are enclosed. Now inside the oogonia, what happens? During the embryonic stages itself, oogonia starts its maturation division called meiosis. Meiosis is initiated, they'll start meiosis 1. At this meiosis 1, this oogonia will start prophase 1, and oogonia gets transformed into primary oocyte, which is diploid, where entire meiosis 1 is not completed, and these primary oocytes gets arrested at prophase. So such primary oocyte, remember this is oogonia are getting transformed into primary oocytes, right? So remember the primary oocyte is diploid because it has not completed its meiosis 1. It is at prophase 1 and it is arrested. Fine. Now such primary oocytes are enclosed by flattened cells, and this flattened cell layer that is enclosing the primary oocyte becomes follicle, that is called your primordial follicle. So remember, the initial follicle is primordial follicle. Inside this primordial follicle, the primary oocyte is enclosed. So primary oocyte is started with meiosis 1, but it is not completed, arrested at prophase 1. Clear? Next, the flattened cells of the oocyte they proliferate, they divide and becomes cuboidal cells. And these cuboidal cells or these cuboidal cell layers later on becomes 2 or 3 layers. What are we are calling them as granulosa cells, right? So these are called granulosa cells. Now inside these granulosa cells is present our primary oocyte, which is not undergoing any division, but whereas the cells will start dividing inside the follicle. Now such a follicle with the cuboidal cells called granulosa cells with 1 or 2 layers becomes primary follicle. So initially the primordial follicle becomes a primary follicle, which also encloses the primary oocyte, which is still diploid. Now at this stage, a layer called a glycoprotein layer develops around the or develops in between the follicular cells as well as oocyte, which is called zona pellucida. Zona pellucida is non-cellular and is a glycoprotein layer. So clear? Fine. Initially, what all these primordial germ cells are present, they'll form several oogonia. Oogonia are formed by a process called mitosis, and later on oogonia starts their meiosis 1, and in the meiosis 1 they after prophase 1 stage the cell division gets arrested, and now at this stage oogonia are called primary oocytes, which are diploid, and such oogonia or primary oocytes are enclosed in a flattened cells which is called primordial follicle. Later on, this primordial follicle, what all the cells present, the flattened cells that are present in the primordial follicle, they becomes cuboidal cells and becomes 1 or 2 layers, and such several cell layers is now called primary follicles. And inside this primary follicle is present your primary oocyte, which is diploid, and at this stage it develops, the ovum develops a glycoprotein layer which is called zona pellucida between granulosa cells and primary oocyte, right? Now such follicles are called primary follicles. The primary follicle number is very high during the earlier stages of development, right? So later on, so between, from the embryonic stages to puberty, the number of primary follicles will keep decreasing by process, and this process of decrease in the follicles is called follicular atresia. This is called as follicular atresia. So primary follicles will keep on dividing. The number of the primary follicles will not increase now. So primary follicle number will keep decreasing after reaching to puberty, and the number of follicles left over in each ovary will be around 60,000 to 80,000 follicles are only left in the ovary after reaching to puberty. Fine. So for our simplicity, I am just showing you how one primary follicle will develops and produces the mature ovum. Okay. So fine. This is now primary follicle, and this primary follicle will now undergo development, which is under the influence of gonadotropin releasing hormones called your follicle and luteinizing hormones. Okay. So already you might have studied that the hypothalamus stimulates the pituitary to release gonadotropins like follicle and luteinizing hormones. So what is the role of these hormones in the development? We'll study in brief, in detail. You'll study about these hormones in menstrual cycle. So first, in brief, we'll talk about these two hormones, luteinizing hormone as well as follicle stimulating hormone. Now the next question comes, how do these two hormones reach the ovary? Because they are produced from your pituitary gland, and from the pituitary gland through the blood circulation inside the ovary, you can see blood vessels, and through this blood circulation they will reach the ovary. And let us find out how exactly they influence the development of the primary follicle to a final matured follicle, and how the secondary oocyte is formed and is released by process called ovulation. Okay, fine. Now the primary follicle, the granulosa cells proliferate further. Granulosa cells keep on proliferating further, and these granulosa cells, during their proliferation, they form 6 to 7 layers. 6 to 7 layers of granulosa cells. Right? So this is your granulosa cells, which are 6 to 7 layers of the granulosa cells are formed from the primary follicle under the influence of hormones. Right? Now, so at this stage, inside this follicle, right, whatever your primary oocyte is present, this primary oocyte is present as such, right? So the primary oocyte is present as such, which is diploid, which is not further divided. The division is started, right? It's not completed. Then now at this stage, the follicle is surrounded by a layer of cells which is called theca, right? So now such a follicle with theca is now called secondary follicle. So remember, your primary follicle becomes secondary follicle. So initial follicle is primordial follicle, becomes a primary follicle, then becomes a secondary follicle. And what is the character of secondary follicle? The character of the secondary follicle is formation of theca. Fine. Now, what is the role of theca? Listen, this is thecal cells, right? This is theca, the thecal cells. So, thecal cells, they utilize steroids. They utilize steroids, and from steroids, the thecal cells make androgens. Remember this carefully. Thecal cells extract or derive steroids, and from steroids they make androgens with the influence of luteinizing hormone. Look here. This thing you have to remember. Thecal cells, under the influence of luteinizing hormones, they convert the steroids into androgens. Fine. Now this green layer is theca layer, and this is very in close connection with the blue cells. You can see granular cells. Fine. So what all the androgens that are produced by the thecal cells enter into granulosa cells. Enter into granulosa cells. Now, these granulosa cells convert the androgens into estrogens under the influence of follicle stimulating hormone. So remember, now a simple logic is that, so everywhere in the book it is mentioned that the theca is responsible for formation of estrogens. But who is making estrogens? Estrogen is made by your granulosa cells. But how? First, the theca takes the steroids. Under the influence of luteinizing hormones, these steroids are converted into androgens, and these androgens enter into your granulosa cells. In the granulosa cells, the androgens are converted into estrogens by your follicle stimulating hormone. This is what is the function of your theca. Later on, the theca will keep on dividing and becomes outermost layer and inner layer. The outermost layer is called as theca externa, and this theca externa in the later stages, it gets connected or it gets merged with the fibrous tissues of the cortex, and whereas theca interna, which is in close connection with the granular cells, remains and secretes the hormones estrogens. Clear? Everybody done with this? So what is it? Your thecal cells, right, take the steroids, and from the steroids they convert it into androgens with the influence of luteinizing hormone, and these androgens enter into the granular cells. In the granular cells, with the action of the FSH, these are converted into estrogens. Now such a follicle is called secondary follicle, right? Again, in the secondary follicle, later secondary follicle now develops. What all the granular cells are present, the granular cells will keep moving to a site and develops pockets inside. Develop pockets inside, right? So these pockets developed within the follicle, right, will form or will secrete hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid, right? It develops pockets. The granular cells keep moving and develop pockets, and in these pockets are loaded with hyaluronic acid. Fine. So this is your secondary follicle. So what is a secondary follicle? Secondary follicle is identified with theca, right? So which secrete estrogens. Now the estrogen levels will keep increasing and the granular cells will start dividing more rapidly. Fine. Now at this stage, what all these pockets of granular cells that are formed, the fluid filled pockets, these fluid filled pockets will keep on expanding, diffuse and form a larger cavity inside the follicle. Now this cavity that is formed inside the follicle is now called antrum. And this antrum is filled with more amount of your hyaluronic acid. What do you call it as a liquor folliculi, the fluid that is enclosed inside the antrum. Now in this follicle, such a follicle with the antrum, right? And now this is what your primary oocyte. At this stage, due to the influence of your hormones, this primary oocyte now completes its meiosis 1. Completes its meiosis 1. Completes meiosis 1. Clear? So meiosis 1 was started before, at the time when the oocytes are formed, but it is arrested at prophase 1. Now meiosis 1 completes. Meiosis 1 results in formation of 2 cells. Fine. Results in the formation of 2 cells because each cell is haploid cell, right? So these 2 are haploid cells. So primary oocyte undergo meiosis 1, divides into 2 cells, and this division is an unequal division where entire cytoplasm go into 1 cell, and this becomes your secondary oocyte. This becomes secondary oocyte haploid. The other one, which receives very less or negligible amount of cytoplasm, becomes polar body. Polar body, because it receives very less amount of cytoplasm and nutrient, no longer it survives. And there is only one secondary oocyte, which we are calling it as ovum, is formed from one primary oocyte. This is how spermatogenesis differs from oogenesis. Because in spermatogenesis, from one sperm mother cell, the 4 sperms or spermatozoa are formed. Whereas in oogenesis, in female gametogenesis, right? So from one primary oocyte, from one oogonia becomes one primary oocyte. From one primary oocyte, there is only one ovum or egg is formed. This is what the spermatogenesis differs from oogenesis. So because of this reason, ovum is only one. From one ovum is formed. Because of that, ovum is many times bigger in size when compared to the male gamete called sperm. Because from one cell in male gametogenesis, 4 sperms are formed, the cytoplasm is equally distributed. Whereas here, from one, even though it undergoes reduction division, 1 is formed, so the egg is little bigger when compared to sperm. Clear? Now, this is what is called secondary oocyte. Now, this secondary oocyte is enclosed in this follicle. This is now, it becomes secondary oocyte, which is haploid. Your secondary follicle encloses primary oocyte, which is diploid. Then this primary oocyte undergo meiosis 1 completes and forms secondary oocyte, which is enclosed in a follicle with a large cavity in the center called antrum. And such a follicle which encloses your secondary oocyte is now called tertiary follicle. What's the follicle called? Tertiary follicle. Now, a tertiary follicle encloses secondary oocyte, and tertiary follicle is characterized by the presence of antrum with liquor folliculi and with several granulosa cells. Clear? Fine. Next, tertiary follicle. The tertiary follicle keeps undergoing changes. What is it? In tertiary follicle, the cavity called antrum keeps expanding. The cavity called antrum keep expanding. It enlarges. Antrum enlarges. When antrum enlarges, the cells, granular cells, becomes thin. And at this stage, the oocyte is sent to one side. That means inside the follicle, the oocyte becomes eccentric. It's not from the center, it keeps moving from the center. The oocyte, the secondary oocyte, becomes eccentric. Secondary oocyte becomes eccentric. Now, at this stage, what all the zona pellucida that is formed between the follicles and the oocyte in the primary follicle, it come closer in the tertiary follicle, and this layer, you can see this is an orange layer, this layer is called zona pellucida. Zona pellucida. Now, outside the zona pellucida, all the granulosa cells will form a striated layer. So this is, I'm just making it as a zona pellucida. Outside the zona pellucida, granulosa cells will form a striated layer, which I marked it in green, which is called corona radiata. Corona radiata. Corona radiata. Fine. And also these cells, some of the cells of the corona radiata encloses this oocyte or connect this oocyte to the follicle, and these cells are called discus proligerus, or this is called germ hill, or discus proligerus cells are present, or they connect this entire oocyte to the follicle. Now at this stage, the tertiary follicle is completely developed or matured, and such a matured follicle is now called Graafian follicle. Such a follicle is called Graafian follicle. Now in this Graafian follicle, the cavity called antrum enlarges, and due to the enlargement of the cavity, the cells becomes very thin layer, and the oocyte becomes eccentric, and such a mature follicle is called as Graafian follicle. Now this Graafian follicle moved to the periphery of the ovary. Because of luteinizing hormone levels are very high, which is called LH surge. Because of excess increase in the luteinizing hormone levels, because estrogen levels keeps increasing here. Whenever, because see, the follicle estrogen will keep secreted in the secondary follicle, and this follicular cells will keep increasing, the levels of the estrogens increases. With very high levels of estrogen, they will give positive feedback to the luteinizing hormone. So luteinizing hormone levels increases, which is called LH surge. Due to this LH surge, the follicle ruptures, releases the secondary oocyte or ovum into the cavity, and this process is called ovulation. And immediately after ovulation, what all the capillaries present inside the follicle, this will clot, resulting in the formation of corpus hemorrhagicum. Right? So ruptured Graafian follicle is initially called corpus hemorrhagicum. Later on, the clots disintegrate, and this corpus hemorrhagicum gets transforms into corpus luteum. This is corpus luteum. This is due to the yellow colored luteal granules, due to this, which is called corpus luteum. Corpus luteum, after ovulation, corpus luteum remains for a few days and acts as a temporary endocrine gland and keep secreting the hormone progesterone. The hormone progesterone is secreted from corpus luteum. Not only hormone progesterone, corpus luteum also secretes estrogens, and corpus luteum also secretes inhibin, remember. Fine. Now when you talk about corpus luteum, what is the fate of the corpus luteum? The fate of the corpus luteum is that in two ways that we will be studying the fate of the corpus luteum. If suppose the ovum, the secondary oocyte which is released from the follicle, if the secondary oocyte get fertilized by a sperm, then the corpus luteum remains as such throughout the pregnancy and keep secreting progesterone and estrogens under the influence of human chorionic gonadotropins produced from placenta. This is one phase of the fate of the corpus luteum. If suppose the egg is not fertilized, right? If egg is not fertilized, then this corpus luteum remains for 9 to 10 days and later on it disintegrates and gets transformed into a white scar which is called corpus albicans. So we call this is yellow body, this is called white body, right? And this becomes a normal cycle, and once again one more primary follicle keeps developing, right? So at once there will be several follicles, several primary follicles will start undergoing division, but out of these several follicles only one of the primary follicle becomes a matured follicle and releases the ovum. Clear? So listen, once again, just in a brief I'll give you an idea of what exactly the follicles and how do you differentiate them. So initially the follicle is called your primordial follicle because with only a single layer of flat cells, and this primordial follicle becomes primary follicle. The number of primary follicles are fixed. Once the number of primary follicles in the very earlier stages of development, this primary follicle number is very high. Maybe they are 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs. And later on, the period between the birth to the like puberty, the follicle number of follicles, primary follicle will keep decreasing, and after reaching to puberty the number of follicles in each ovary will be 60,000 to 80,000. These are the only follicles remain in the ovary. Further there is no development of the follicles. Now such a primary follicle encloses primary oocyte which starts meiosis 1, but it is not completed, it is in prophase 1 and it gets arrested, and such oocytes are called primary oocytes. Now when this primary oocyte is enclosed inside a primary follicle, now here you can see zona pellucida, which is a glycoprotein layer, a non-cellular layer between the granulosa cells and the oocyte. Then your primary follicle becomes a secondary follicle. The secondary follicle is characterized by the presence of theca. So what is the role of the theca? Theca, from the steroids, theca prepares androgens with the influence of luteinizing hormone. Now these androgens will enter into granulosa cells, and with the action of follicle stimulating hormone, with the help of this granulosa cells convert this androgen to estrogens. So your secondary follicle is characterized by presence of fluid filled pockets with hyaluronic acid. Later on, secondary follicle becomes tertiary follicle. The tertiary follicle becomes a mature follicle which is called Graafian follicle, where in the Graafian follicle the antrum enlarges and ovum becomes eccentric, right? In the tertiary follicle, this primary oocyte completes its first reduction division called meiosis 1, becomes secondary oocyte, and polar body no longer survives, right? Now the secondary oocyte is called as ovum. Now the secondary oocyte or ovum is released from the Graafian follicle by process called ovulation. After ovulation, right, immediately the follicle, that means earlier corpus luteum, is called corpus hemorrhagicum. Later on, it becomes corpus luteum. Maybe the corpus luteum can survive for a longer periods if the egg gets fertilized. If not, the corpus luteum gets transforms into corpus albicans. So clear? So this is what is the oogenesis. Now during this stage, the secondary oocyte or ovum formed is, it completes meiosis 1 and it undergoes and it starts meiosis 2, but it does not complete. It will be under metaphase. Metaphase 2, it does not complete. So second maturation division of the ovum or secondary oocyte completes only when once the sperm enters inside, because in the sperm the centriole, the proximal centriole initiates the ovum to complete its second meiosis. So remember, at the ovum, at the time of ovulation, when the ovum is released, the ovum completes only first maturation division. Second maturation division is not completed. It's under meiosis 2 in metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. Clear? Right? So continuation of this is menstrual cycle. I will provide a link in the description box for the menstrual cycle. Go through it, and later on we'll be talking about fertilization, how it takes place. Okay? Thank you.